Women, the unheard voices in the rehabilitation revolution.
The data we have got is around prisons, and it was collected over a decade ago. It was 1997. There was the most robust prevalence study in prisons was conducted by the Office of National Statistics, and I imagine things haven't got better, and I think the statistics probably apply. But when they went out and they did exhaustive clinical interviews with groups of prisoners and young people, men and women, and the figures they came up for women were that about 50% of the female prison population could be diagnosed with at least one or more personality disorder. About 14% of the population could be diagnosed with a psychosis, so a very severe mental illness. And if we're talking about so-called neurotic problems, so that's problems like depression and anxiety, we're talking close to 75% of the population. And of course, the default in prisons isn't to have one problem, it's multiple and complex need. So it tends to be lots of diagnoses, lots of potential diagnoses, lots of problems, social, health, mental health, and so on and so forth. A lot of women shouldn't be coming into prison, and we've made that very clear already. But we need to have some things in place to make sure that changes. And the first of those things is effective mental health and other diversion services. Now, we don't have enough diversion services currently. We've got something like 330 or so magistrates' courts and 600 custody suites. I think I'm right there. We've got around 100 teams that vary from one person and their dog to slightly more than that. And that's not enough. So we need more of those teams that are trained and are effective and intervene as early as possible to get people out of the system if that's appropriate, and to get them into treatment if that's appropriate. But there's more to it. Revolving Doors Agency did some research that found that you can't just put any diversion service out there and pick up women, because a lot of women will not put themselves forward because they're worried about the extra stigma on top of being an offender or being arrested, of having a mental health problem, and how that might affect their ability or their being allowed to continue being a parent. And what they found is when you had a less labelling service, a more gender-specific service, that actually about 60% more women would come forward to that. So that's quite important. So we need gender-specific diversion services.